Hey there guys, it's Anthony here from Cutting Edge Guitar, and in today's video we're going to be taking a look at the cutting edge guitar players for the jazz genre and to find out which albums you should be listening to so that you can hear their unique style. Let's get right into it. So far in my Cutting Edge Guitarist series, I've covered rock and fusion players in the list of recommendations. In this video, we're going to take a look at a list of jazz guitar players that any guitar student should study in order to learn more about the genre. As I've done so far, I've listed 10 players that I've found to be awesome for the genre, but also incredibly helpful in helping me and my students learn the style. Cutting edge jazz guitar player number 1, Wes Montgomery. Wes Montgomery is a standard influence. Anyone who's anyone in guitar world has listened to him and taken influence from his playing. I personally recommend his albums Far Wes and Way Out Wes. These particularly great albums are just awesome for his playing style. Cutting edge jazz guitar player number 2, Joe Pass. I first heard about Joe Pass when one of my favourite guitar players, Guthrie Govan, and he's also one of my highest rated fusion guitarists from that video if you want to check that out, cited him as a hero. Joe's chord melody playing is second to none. To hear some of the best stuff for Joe Pass, you have to check out the Virtuoso albums. Cutting edge jazz guitar player number 3, George Benson. George Benson is just a killer guitar player. His jazz playing is lightning fast, but always so soulful and musical. His 80s disco stuff is pretty cool too if you like pop guitar playing. His tune I Remember Wes was a huge influence on me, and that comes from the Goodies album. I'd also recommend Breezin' as a great album for his really soulful stuff. George has done tons of albums though, so make sure to check out all of his back catalogue. Cutting edge jazz guitar player number 4, John Scofield. I love John Scofield's playing. It's really quirky and full of sophistication and really musical nuances. I've played loads of his tunes in my fusion duo over the years. They're so good for jamming on, and I use a lot of them in my tuition material that's hosted at Cutting Edge Guitar. If I had to pick one album of John's, I would go with Uber Jam. It's full of really cool grooves and awesome tone. Cutting edge jazz guitar player number 5, Pat Martino. Pat is a masterful jazz guitar player that plays through 2-5-1 licks at the speed of light whilst always sounding in the pocket. He's an absolutely devastatingly good player. His album Cream is the one that does it for me. It just blows me away, and he plays on several of the standards that I use in my tuition on that album, so it's a great one for me to direct my students to. Since I scripted the video, Pat has unfortunately passed away, and I would like to take the opportunity on this particular video to pass on my thoughts to his family and any of the students of the guitar out there that have been influenced by Pat. It is a real sad loss for the guitar community. Cutting edge jazz guitar player number 6, Larry Carlton. Larry Carlton is probably the most recorded guitar player alive. He's sessioned with just about everyone, from some super albums with Steely Dan to Michael Jackson. He's got the chops, but has musicality galore, a truly fabulous guitarist. I'd recommend anyone to get the album Then and Now, which is kind of a greatest hits of his work over the years. Larry plays all styles, but I've particularly picked him as a jazz guitar player because his jazz and fusion tunes are the ones that have had the biggest influence on me. Cutting edge jazz guitar player number 7, Mike Stern. Mike Stern is a more modern jazz guitar player that errs on the fusion side of jazz. He's a world-class player and has been the player of choice for people like Miles Davis. His album Play is my favourite pick of his extensive back catalogue. Cutting edge guitar player number 8, Legrand. Legrand is a stupendous guitarist who is a master at all manner of jazz styles, such as gypsy jazz, fusion, standards and more. He's also a hero for players like Greg Howe, so don't just take my word for it. This guy is amazing. Check out his album Standards to hear him ripping over 12 classic jazz tunes. Cutting edge jazz guitar player number 9, Django Reinhardt. I don't think you can have a list of jazz players without Django in it. Simply one of the most influential guitarists that's ever lived. What you should listen to? Literally anything by him. It is all awesome. Cutting edge jazz guitar player number 10, Ronnie Jordan. When I set up my fusion duo, I discovered Ronnie Jordan in a big way. His tune After Hours became a must-play tune in our set, it's a chilled dinner jazz song, and you can do all manner of sorts of things over it as a soloing guitarist. His cover of Miles Davis's So What is one of the best you'll ever hear. Check out the album The Antidote for his signature sound. So there we go guys, that is my pick of my 10 most influential jazz guitar players. Give them all a good listen and see if you like them. Also check out some other great players who have narrowly missed my list. These would be players like Lee Ritenour, Pat Metheny and Norman Brown. If you like the jazz sophistication but you want a more aggressive distorted tone, check out my video on cutting edge fusion guitar players. And of course, if jazz just isn't your thing, also make sure to check out my cutting edge rock guitar players. If you want to support the channel, you can join the Cutting Edge Guitar community, where there is exclusive content, a whole host of posts, lessons, discussion and more awesome guitar content to get your teeth into. Please do like, share and subscribe to the channel, and I will see you in the next video.